Okay, so let's talk about the solution, at least a solution that I came up with. There are many ways that you can solve this. I always recommend that, it's great if you know your own way, if you come up with your own way to solve it. Uh, uh, that's fine. As long as it passes the test and as long as you understand it, that's what's important. Actually, I just noticed there's a mistake here. I'm going to have to fix this. The column that we're looking for here is name. It's not name, it's exercise. So we need to fix that. And we're going to take the reps, and where I'd left you in the discussion before was what's going to go here to split out the reps into a low and a high value. Well, I know that reps looks like, well, actually, let's go over here, do a little Python stuff. I know that reps is going to look like, say, 20-50. And I know that I can say reps dot split on the dash, and that's going to give me back a list containing the string values 20 and 50 because that split works there on a string. So we're going to get back string values, and we want those to be integer values. Well, I know I can say int 20, and that's going to give me 20. So how can I apply the integer function to all the elements of a list? Well, that's exactly what map does. Map onto int this bit right here, and of course this is a lazy function, so I'm going to have to coerce it with list. And now instead of a list of strings 20 and 50, I get back a list of integer values 20 and 50. And I know that I could unpack that into low and high because there's two values, and now I can say low is 20 and high is 50. So that's pretty perfect. That's the code that I can use. And one of the things I want to point out here is that, I went over into the REPL and I got exactly the code I wanted, and then I'm able to just come over here and copy and paste it right into my program. And I think that's a good way to kind of understand what you're working on, to kind of understand a piece of code, really go over and play with it in the REPL. And once you can fully wrap your head around it, then you can pop it into your program. Hopefully it works. Let's run PyTest on this. And okay, we haven't imported the CSV module. Let's go add that. Import CSV. Let's save it. Let's see how we're doing. And oh yes, it's saying none because I never actually returned a value. So the default value is to return none. I need to return the exercises. And let's run that. Great. So that passes the very limited test of only trying with good, well-formed input. So it doesn't handle any of our bad cases, but it's a start. It's not a bad place to start. Let's go back up here and let's see what our program looks like. So I had recommended, we print out our exercises and kind of work our way up to getting something that works. So if I just run the WAD program, let's see, namespace has no attribute fh. Oh, it's called file, not fh. Let's try that again. Running the WAD, and this is what I was recommending. So here we've turned our input file. So if I'm going to cat input exercises.csv, and let's kind of compare these two. We see that the first line is burpees 2050. And we see here we've gotten back that the first element here is the burpees, is the name, and then 20 and 50 have been converted to integer values. So that looks good. This is a good input file. It works. It gives us back these items. And then I recommended that instead of printing the exercises, that we use the random.sample function to sample a k value of args.num, and we print that instead. So what happens if we run our program now? Now it's printing those 4 squats, lunges, sit-ups, and crunches. If I run it again, it does burpees, crunches, sit-ups, and squats. If I run it with -s1, do I get back what we looked at here? So -s1 push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, and burpees. So we're making the same selections. We see that we're selecting in the same way as the test suite was. And this is always something to keep in mind. That your test is only testing a particular way of running the program. If for instance, you know, your inputs weren't sorted in the same as mine, if for some reason, like let's say you actually sorted your exercises alphabetically, you would get a different sampling than I'm getting by using an unsorted, using them exactly as they are in the file. So you have to think about those kinds of things as you're testing. But here we are able to make the same selection randomly, repeatable, reproducible. And now we want to, instead of printing that, we want to print this: push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, and burpees, but with a specific value. So now we need to think about, okay, we're not going to print this. We're going to, like, let's start with this same kind of tried and true way of, like, we'll say our WOD is equal to an empty list. And instead of printing that, we're going to say for exercise in random sample. And now we have the exercise. We know that the first thing, the first element, well, let's see, this is actually returning a tuple. So we can say for exercise low and high, and we can unpack each one of those tuples into these three variables, and we can say that our reps here is going to be equal to random rand int something between low and high. And we're going to append to WOD another tuple that is the exercise and then the reps. And let's see what that looks like. Let's p-print that and see what it looks like. And let me run it again with S1. And now we're seeing 56, 88, 27, 35, 56, 88, 27, 35. So we're making the exact same selection both of the exercises with the random sampling, and we're also choosing the exact same random integers. So we're well on our way to having this work. Instead of printing the WOD, I want to go back up here, and I'm going to say from tabulate, import the tabulate function. And instead of using pprint, I'm going to print tabulate WOD. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, that looks really cool. The only other thing we're missing are the headers. So we just have to say headers is equal to, and I think this wants a tuple of exercise and reps. And I want those capitalized to make them look nice. And if I run that, headers, there we go. Now that looks great. That's a pretty cool program that we created. Let's run make tests, see how it looks. Pass. Oh, okay, it's testing with a negative number, which makes a lot of sense. We obviously can't have a negative number of exercises. So that means that we need to go up here. We need to intercept our args. Let's go ahead and say return args so we don't forget. And we need to say if args.num is less than 1, parser error. And let's see, it wants it to say something like dash dash num. We always want to give back to let the reader know what is the value that's not working. Args num must be greater than 0. Let's try that. Make test. That passes. Oh, we didn't handle the easy flag. So good that we have our tests. So the reps here, when we have easy, that needs to be cut in half. So we say if args.easy, then reps is going to be equal to the integer value of reps divided by 2. Because remember, we're going to truncate that. We don't want a floating point value. So let's test. Yay, we pass all of our tests. So that only handles the good input files. Let's just run it real quick on exercises, silly exercises, and make sure that, oh, it's -f, isn't it? -f. We see that it does work on a different good input file. In the next video, let's talk about some of the problems that we'll encounter with badly formatted data.